teaching.
I love teaching.
I love teaching.
I love teaching.
I love teaching.
J'adore.
Me encanta enseñar.
I love teaching.
I love teaching.
I love teaching.
But what we know
But what we know
But what we know about how learning works is different now.
is different now.
is different now.
The more we know about students' needs and their different learning styles and different learning needs, it becomes clear that the facilities we have right now aren't the best to accommodate that. We don't have the spaces we need. We don't have the ability to be flexible within the classroom as much as we possibly could. A new building would just be so exciting because we could have multiple things going on simultaneously, and it would be broken up and fragmented, and it wouldn't seem like everything's being patched together. It would just be this continuous flowing learning environment.
Right now our building is set up so that we have separate spaces for our different classrooms. We have a math classroom, a social studies classroom, science, language arts. And the way that's designed, it really implies to students that this is the room where math happens and this is the room where we do social studies, and it's very separate. And learning doesn't happen like that in the real world. And so to have a space that would allow for us to do more interdisciplinary teaching.
The learning that takes place in these four walls doesn't have to stop in these four walls. And a lot of times my students think when they come in here, they have to use proper grammar. And when they leave, it doesn't count out there because they're starting to think that learning language arts only happens in this room, science only happens in that room, math only happens in that room, and that's not the way the world works. And one of the things that we know about with 21st century learning and the way this generation of students work is that learning is connected across content areas. And because of the way this structure is set up, it makes students think that learning takes place, the only learning that takes place in this room is language arts.
One thing that's sometimes difficult is because of the fact that we teach, and one thing I love about teaching is the fact that we teach heterogeneous population of students. And I love that. I love working with all different abilities. I think that the struggle and challenge for a teacher is you a lot of times, because of the abilities, because of the activities that are going on, you have so many things going on, and lots of times you have different groups working on different things. That sometimes is difficult because we have one classroom, and it would be like asking everything in one company to take place in one space that is common to everyone, and I think that's really difficult sometimes. What ends up happening is if I have one group who is working, let's say I've got 3 activities going on, I can probably take care of 2 activities, but let's say one group needs complete silence. I end up sending 5 or 6 kids out in the hallway, and that's not optimal. What ends up happening, because I can't monitor them, I can't make progress, I can't check in with them, because then I got to leave the classroom. What I envision is something where I've got a big learning space, or a part of a learning space where people are able to go and I can monitor them, I've got earshot on them, or eye shot on there, I can kind of see where they're at. I think that's would be really exciting.
If the content connected more across the curriculars, like a blended learning, where teachers could collaborate between content areas, and then these students could see the connections not only between the real world and what they're learning, but make the connections in other subjects as well. And with these traditional classrooms, we're really confined. We can't see where the kids are. We're separated from our colleagues. And if we had spaces that could accommodate that, that would be more feasible.
I would be really excited for a new facility because there's so many cool things I want to do in my classroom. I love pulling students to confer with them. I love small group work. I also love full class instruction. It just depends on the students and the lesson. So it would be so cool for me to be able to do all of those things, sometimes even all at once, without having to leave students, with being able to watch them while I'm working with a specific group. All of those things would be so much easier with one space that was maybe broken up, where I could still see my students but be working at the same time. It would just open so many different doors to do so many different really cool things with the kids. I love pulling students over to that table, and it's great that I can see the rest of the class while I do that, but the noise, for starters, to be able to talk closely with some students without being distracted by others would be a huge bonus of having a new facility. And also just being able to continue to interact with these students, but just maybe have more, maybe not privacy, but more of a secluded area for the students that need a quieter environment.
Many times when I'm teaching, I have to pull a small group of students and work with them over here at this table. The problem is, it can be a little bit close to the other students, which is very distracting to them. So what we're looking for is some space that's not all the way down the hallway, but not 2 feet away from them. It's a place that is visible to myself, but is also great for the students. I cannot wait for a facility to promote 21st century learning.
I'm the gifted intervention specialist here, and I teach the enrichment science electives. So as you look around the space here, it is rather tiny for what we do in 3 different grade levels and 6 different classes. There's not enough room for the kids to run multiple labs in a concept. We really can only just run one at a time. With a bigger space, I can extend this curriculum beyond belief. I work with a couple of professors down at the University of Akron, and we coordinate just different things I can do with the kids, different equipment of theirs I can borrow, and they keep saying, you can take this, you can take this, and I want to bring it here. With a new facility, the impact on learning at the gifted level here at Brady would be impacted immensely.
We love to be able to let multiple classes work together to use their interpersonal communication skills within the world language. Our current facility just doesn't allow us the space to be able to have our students work together from class to class and be able to speak to each other in Spanish and French. This is our vision for a world language classroom.
You're not just sitting at your desk doing worksheets. You're going out, you're talking to other people, you're speaking the language, not just writing it. Est-ce que tu fais tout?
Oui. Où est l'épicerie?
Suivez-moi, s'il vous plaît.
Merci.
Continuez tout droit sur le Whistler jusqu'à la synagogue. Tournez à droite et continuez tout droit.
We want to let students be creative, use the language in speaking, but we need some larger spaces. A new facility would afford us the opportunity to have this large space for our students to be able to walk around and do wonderful projects like this and really use the language.
Right now we have 2 classrooms that have a movable wall between them, and that's really our only space that we have for a large group. So we can move the wall and we can put our entire team of 80 students in one space. But even with that team space, things really are pretty cramped. And it would be so convenient to have a larger space that could comfortably house our entire team. So when we get the team together for things like intersessions or team meetings, we really have a space that we can do that.
I saw this video of a school where they have this big open space for learning, and it's like a social area, but also learning takes place there. And I got very excited when I saw that, because I thought to myself, this reminds me of this video I saw about Google and heard on the news about Google, and it sounds very much like the way the Google Corporation works, where they have these big open space, people come together, they learn together, they bounce ideas off of each other. And I thought, boy, if we can somehow mirror one of the most successful companies in the world and create a learning environment that is very close to the way these companies operate, that would be phenomenal.
So while we have some really great resources here at Brady, a building that was completely 21st century would allow us to do so much more. It would be great if we were able to have multiple locations throughout the school and throughout the classroom in which to store or to charge the Chromebooks. It's really hard to find a place in today's society that doesn't have an option for charging, whether it's your phone or your computer. Starbucks, airports, fast food restaurants. Almost everywhere you go, you see charging stations with built-in USBs or plugs or things like that. I would be so excited to have opportunities for students to do that throughout the building. Using some cafe tables. How cool would that be for a student to be able to, maybe during their lunch or during their prep period, find a quiet space anywhere in the building, in a classroom, in a hall, in a giant social space, in a cafeteria. Oh, there's a charging station. I'm going to go plug in my computer and get some work done. I think as a middle schooler, that would have been a really cool experience for me, and it's something that I would love to provide for our students.
One of the most exciting things about this possibility of getting a new facility is just like the little things in the classroom. I think about when I'm teaching and I'm going to display a video like we often do. In order for me to turn off the lights, I have to walk all the way to the other side of the room, turn off the lights, come all the way back up and hit play. It'd be really cool, just little things, to have extra light switches around the room. Or even I'm thinking about speakers that are built in throughout the room, because we do so much multimedia. It'd just be really neat to picture the possibilities when you change just the small things.
Boy, I can't wait for a 21st century learning building.
A new facility.
A new facility.
So many amazing possibilities for instruction.
So many amazing possibilities.
Amazing possibilities.
Amazing possibilities.
Amazing possibilities for instruction.
For instruction.
So many amazing possibilities for instruction. For what it could be. For what it could be.
For what it could be.
Meeting the needs
Meeting the needs of our students.
Our students.